Welcome back to another episode of Frontier Life. The honeymoon is over. Let's talk about it. We've had the truck now for about 4 months almost, over 5,000 miles. We are at 5,390 miles, and we are due for our actual second oil change because we changed the oil at 1,000 miles before we did some towing. But what I want to talk about is just the good, the annoying, and then just, I guess, the bad. So let's just dive right into it. The powertrain and power delivery in this truck is awesome. It's a naturally aspirated V6 that puts out 310 horsepower, 281 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and I absolutely love this powertrain. It is smooth, it is relatively quiet, and it sounds good when you're pushing up in the rev range. It's a really nice sounding engine. It's part of that VQ lineage of engines. If you don't know, the VQ series engines for Nissan, the V6s, are historically solid. They're completely reliable, very bulletproof, they're robust. They tend to last a long time with just your regular maintenance. And this VQ series engine has been out for about 5 years, 5.5 years. Same with this transmission, and both have been great for me. I think the power delivery is very linear. It's great for towing. I dare say it's probably the best towing mid-sized truck out there because of that larger displacement. It does a great job of engine braking and just pulling linearly, which is what you want when you are towing with it. And I absolutely love the powertrain. Another thing that I really love about this truck, and I'm still in love with, is just how quiet it is in here. The Nissan Frontier Pro-4X is going to give you acoustic glass in the front and the rear, and it just provides you a really well insulated cabin. There is sound deadening materials found throughout the interior and exterior that just lend themselves to a very quiet and composed experience inside. A couple of things that most reviewers don't talk about with the Nissan Frontier is all the work that Nissan did to isolate and make the ride that much better by adding hydraulic cab mounts and urethane jounce bumpers. Both of those, coupled with the rear stabilizer bar and a beefier front stabilizer bar, just make this truck very livable on the day-to-day. Even with leaf springs, the Bilstein dampeners do an awesome job of keeping this truck very composed. Combine that with the acoustic glass, the hydraulic cab mounts, the urethane jounce bumpers. This truck drives very quietly, very smoothly, and it's just a pleasure to drive on the day-to-day. Additionally, it's just very comfortable. These seats, as we've talked about in other episodes, these are Nissan zero gravity seats. These are the leather seats. They are very, very comfortable. I've had no issues with them on long drives. Been in this truck for many hours driving, towing, and they're just very comfortable seats. The seating position is fantastic in here, and I absolutely love this truck for that. Again, it's very quiet, it's comfortable, feels premium. Honestly, everything that Nissan has done in this truck makes it feel like it's a much more expensive truck in terms of putting all of it together. I think trucks in this segment are overpriced. Nissan is not the exception, but at least with Nissan you feel like you are getting what you are paying for. And guys, if you've never test driven a Nissan Frontier Pro-4X, I highly recommend you do, because I think you will be blown away. Pay attention more closely to the NVH levels in here. The NVH in this truck is some of the best, not only in this segment, but really I think of any car or truck out right now. It is really, really well done. Nissan did a good job of making this a quiet, almost luxury type experience. Given that it's a mid-sized truck, I think they've done a really good job. We've talked about the usable space in the rear. So again, I think the usable space is great in this truck. Any mid-sized truck, you're going to have issues with the rear space not being super comfortable, but as we've shown in other videos, I think the rear usable space is fantastic, and it's something that my family and I really enjoy about this truck, and it's definitely a positive that just keeps on giving. 5,000 miles 4 months later, it's something that we're still enjoying, and overall the truck just drives great. I think it looks great. The styling I'm still in love with. They did a good job with the refresh. Some reviewers think it's a step back. I think it makes it look a little bit more modern. And then that brings us to the last point I want to make about something that I'm still in love with this truck, and that's the infotainment. So for 2025, Nissan introduced this 12.3-inch high definition screen. It's very, very good. It is very, very snappy. It pairs up to Android Auto, CarPlay wirelessly and wired, and it does so seamlessly. I haven't had any connectivity issues whatsoever. It's been fantastic. There is one little quirk that I'm going to go over here in a second, but other than that, it's been absolutely flawless. Same with the HVAC. HVAC, it blows hard. It does a really good job of keeping the cabin cool. No weirdness. It doesn't condensate or anything strange. It's just been really, really solid. Same with just the other amenities that this truck came with. So the wireless charger has been great. The moonroof / sunscreen has been great. Honestly, I can't complain in terms of the technology that comes with this truck, the powertrain, the NVH, all of it is top notch. All right, let's hop in real quick to just the annoyances. For those of you that don't know, I did an episode about the things that kind of drive me nuts with this truck, and they're very minor. One is the fuel economy gauge. The MPG gauge is off by about 2 MPG, 1.5, 2 MPG. Right now, I'm not averaging great gas mileage, and I'll talk about that in a second. But that's one annoyance. The second annoyance are these parking sensors, especially when towing or if I have my bike rack, in the back. I have to turn this off even after I put it in reverse. One thing I did figure out was how to turn off the beeping, so at least it doesn't beep at me while I'm doing that. So that's an annoyance. Another annoyance is the halogen cargo lamp in the back, and the rake on the truck and clearance kind of suck too. I've outlined those. There's a whole video on that, so I'm not going to go super deep into that. You can watch those. You can watch that video separately. So what's been bad? What are the things that I wish would change? Right now, there's just things about the truck that aren't going to change, that we're just going to have to live with. The first one is the MPG. Now, there's a caveat here. I think for a V6, and a large V6 at that, it's a 3.8 liter, I think it gets good gas mileage. I've been averaging holistically about what the EPA states, which is about 18 miles per gallon. However, if you find yourself doing more city driving for like a week, or you just do more city driving in general, you're gonna absolutely hate the gas mileage. On this particular tank, I have been idling quite a bit, but I'm averaging, it says 18.5, but it's more like 16.5, which is what the EPA states you're gonna get city driving. I knew the MPG wasn't great going in. Again, it's a V6, and I'm okay with that, but in the spirit of being transparent, I don't think you're gonna like the fuel economy if you're expecting to hit 19 miles per gallon consistently, and you're doing a lot of city driving. If you're doing a lot of city driving, a lot of stop and go driving, your fuel economy is going to suffer, it's going to suck, and you're going to be pissed off all the time that you don't get great gas mileage. Again, for me, in the 4 months we've owned the truck, over 5,000 miles, I've averaged about 18 and a half, and that's mixed. On the highway, I consistently get about 21, 22 miles per gallon pretty easily, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. The fact that I have a V6, you're gonna have to make some sacrifices in the MPG, and that's been totally fine. Another thing that I haven't been completely happy with, the orange accents in the truck. They're not deal breakers, and honestly, they've kind of grown on me, but once in a while I look at them and I don't know, especially on the door. I don't mind them on the stitching, but I blacked this one out, and if you're interested, there's a link down below where you can get these blackout little overlays by Ludd Designs New York. Shout out to them. But yeah, just the orange accents on here, I'm not crazy about it, even though they've grown on me in terms of me not realizing they're there or just forgetting they're there. I just don't know if they'll age well over time. Maybe I'll just stop thinking about them. But I think the orange stitching on the seats, on the headrest, like that I can live with. Maybe I'll swap these out at some point, but just something that I'm not 100% in love with, and that I'm just gonna have to live with for that. Now, other issues that I've had, and again, these are minor, not deal breakers, but again, we're talking about the honeymoon phase being over. This screen actually went black on me, and I didn't know what to do, and I was about to punch a hole through it. I did a little bit of Googling, got on Reddit, and I found that they're just kind of quirky sometimes. It had been sitting out in the sun, and I don't know if it shuts down as some kind of safety measure, but I got in my truck after my son's soccer practice one day, and the screen was black. It just wouldn't turn on. It wouldn't do anything. I got home, again, a little quick Google search, Reddit search. You just hold down the power button for 30 seconds, it restarted, and I haven't had that issue yet. And there's 2 recalls. So another, I guess, bad thing, but you know, all trucks apparently have recalls. They're minor though. One is that the infotainment screen will like go black like it did, but doing so when you're reversing, when the cameras are on, apparently there's a recall to fix that. And there's a recall with the auto stop start making your lights dimmer. We're going to take care of those tomorrow, I believe. So I'll do another video kind of updating on the recalls. Other than that, there's one more thing that happened recently. So let's go to the back. One thing that's been pissing me off about this truck is the tail dampening. So the dampening since day one has been pretty subpar. I don't know if I have a defective one. We're gonna get that taken care of. But the crappiest thing that's happened is this tether here completely, I guess, snapped this bolt off. I don't know if they over torqued this in the factory and then this was just shaking around, but I went to open this to put this package in, which we'll be doing a cool little thing. Stay tuned with this package. But this completely was loose when I opened the tailgate, and that bolt was missing, and it looks like it broke off. So I don't know if it was over torqued at the factory. We're gonna get that taken care of. But yeah, the dampening on this 2025 just kind of sucks. Again, it's not a huge deal breaker. I had a second gen, had a steel tailgate, and it would just drop like a bag of cement. This is pretty heavy, not super heavy. I'm pretty sure it's an aluminum tailgate, but I have small kids, so sometimes they run underneath and I can't see them, and if this falls down quickly like that, it's gonna bust the head open. And so just something quirky and kind of crappy about the truck. For it only having 5,000 miles, it's an easy fix, but still, I'm gonna be transparent with y'all, and I don't appreciate that. Next thing is that this placard here, it scuffs very easily. I already have a couple of scuffs here. Luckily, it's not the paint or anything, and this can probably be replaced, and hopefully it's not too expensive, but I have noticed that it scuffs easy, and that's that. Another thing to look out for 5,000 miles later, luckily I don't have any scrapes up here or any cracking in the paint, but just this molding. I've seen a lot of horror stories about this starting to crack and peel. I haven't had an issue yet, but everything seems good there. So hopefully that won't be an issue down the road. But overall, guys, with the honeymoon being over, in terms of, we're at 5,000 miles, couple of months, I couldn't be happier with the Nissan Frontier, honestly. I think for the mid-sized truck segment, I think if you appreciate driving, I think if you appreciate a robust, well-built truck, I think the Nissan Frontier still is the way to go. We've done videos comparing it to the Tacoma. We might be doing another comparison video soon, so stay tuned for that. But I just think it's an overall great truck. The honeymoon phase is over, and there's really not much that I have to complain about. It's all just minor kind of stupid quirks. I've had no mechanical issues whatsoever. Overall, the truck's handled everything really well for over 5,000 miles. We have some other things coming up on the channel that are exciting, so stay tuned for that. But thanks again for everybody's support. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.